Good morning. Today is day 61 of moving mountains beneath my feet. We are 80 days onto our journey around the sun. There's 285 days left in the year. And this is episode 40. What a journey it has been. And that's what I want to get into, is this journey and contrast and negative emotions and all kinds of things that have come up. And so I realized that, I'm witnessing, or I've seen someone telling a story similar to mine, that they found themselves at having a really great year, having an expansive year, and then they found themselves at this rock bottom, and they don't know. They're sitting in the bottom of this pit, and they don't know what to. They want a way out, but they just don't know. And this brings up, that issue, right? So there's the experience that I've had, that I've been able to bounce out of, right? I've fallen down into this pit and bounced out higher than I could have ever imagined. And that experience for me is allowing me to be able to understand someone else's journey and to be able to help them through that. And so there's purpose in that. This also brings up a conversation that I was having with my lady, because I've intuitively known this from my own experiences in my life. Is like, I feel things so deeply. I feel the highs so high and the lows so low. And, I've truly known despair and loss and sadness. And I've come to embrace and allow the negative emotions, whereas so many people decide that they don't want to feel those negative emotions, and they do everything they can to avoid feeling deeply any kind of negative emotions. And the way that I put it is, I said an analogy that she liked, and when she said that, it kind of hit me. I was like, okay, well, not everybody has this awareness, but contrast in life, right? The highs are capped by the amount that you allow the lows in your life and the negative and lower emotions. If you want to feel higher vibrations, better emotions, you have to allow the negative emotions to exist, and you have to feel them. You have to deeply feel them and allow those to be in you. And so the way that I use this analogy was, if you were in a desert and you were literally dying of thirst, you had been in the desert for 2 days. The human body can go 3 days without water. You're hour 23 in the desert, and you're literally about to die of thirst. You would give anything in your life for a drink of water, right? And you get water, right? You would truly understand the magic, and you would truly deeply appreciate and love that water that you got, far greater than if you've never had the experience of knowing that kind of thirst. And so in life, people who have truly known despair and have felt like they've had this cloud over their head their whole lives, or they've felt darkness in their whole lives. And I mean, maybe you've suffered for years and years with this just deep darkness inside, or hanging over you, and bad things always happen around you. That person, when they find joy, when they find peace, is going to far exceedingly experience that joy and that peace and that love and that happiness, far greater than somebody who's lived a muted experience, and many times muted by their own ways, by the way that they avoid the negativity. They avoid these negative emotions. They push them out. They push them away. They make them not okay. They say, hey, these emotions are not okay. I'm pushing you out. They don't accept them. And so this is what I mean. I have a call here. Our low moments in life are these periods of time, these periods of contrast, right? And I'm finding that the deepest growth, the greatest growth that I've ever had in my life have always come from these contrasting, hard, dark places that I've been, right? In my past, I've been into this dark pit before, and I've stayed there, I've lingered for upwards of a year or two, right, where I had this darkness over me. and just this inability to get out. And this last time, I went so deep this last time. I've mentioned it, this whole moving mountains beneath my feet started because I was in this dark despair. I guess they call it the dark night of the soul. But it was as if I fell into this pit, bounced off the bottom, grew a rocket ship on my ass, and launched right out of it in the span of 30 to 60 days, right? Because now I'm at 61 days. But I have far surpassed every level I've ever been in my life, internally, emotionally, through this period. And so I have learned through my own experience that this negativity, these negative emotions, and allowing them to exist and allowing myself to feel them is what propelled me to the point that I am today and on the trajectory that I am, and able to even speak this message and help another human being who is maybe suffering or have been through this mode, right? At the bottom, it feels helpless. And I understand what that feels like. I understand what it feels like to want to not live anymore, right? I understand the desire to take your own life. A lot of people don't know that about myself. I've been there before. I know how that helplessness, that hopelessness, it seeps into every part of your body and you can't escape it, to the point where there's just nothing but fear that you might do something crazy, and because I know that, and because I felt that intimately, and I felt that contrast before in my life, I can love. I can feel joy. I can feel peace. And I can appreciate when things are truly good, because I know when things have been truly bad. Like, I have experienced that thirst in the desert. And so that cup of water means so much more to me than the person who's had water their whole life, and the person who's prevented themselves from feeling any kind of thirst. And so I understand the idea that, if I can just avoid these things, or avoid the intensity of these things, that my life could just be, it's better that way. But you're capping yourself from this whole spectrum of deep, deep, deep happiness and joy and love, and experiencing aliveness on a scale that you've never felt before, right? And so there's people who just have no understanding of that because they've lived on this muted up and down kind of scale. The other part of allowing negative emotions and allowing these bad times is, a lot of times they're bringing to the surface parts of us that we don't like, wounds, traumas, things that hurt us. Excuse me. And these are all parts of us that need to be accepted, right? You can accept the best parts of you, the things that you love about yourself, or the things that you think you're good at. These dark parts of you, these dark, hard, difficult, unloved, unwanted parts of you, are parts of you that are reaching out, that need to be understood, that need to be acknowledged and felt. And when you can acknowledge these dark parts of you, right, you enhance the light parts of you, and you come into balance. This is such a deep, deep, deep issue with many men. I know women face the same thing, but there's a lot of men who can't handle the darkness within themselves, and they go through so many things to try to avoid it. And it's when you face your own darkness that you can then come into balance, and everything in your life, everything else in your life starts to come into harmony. And from that, knowing that darkness, knowing that place of negativity and being okay with it, allows you to embrace and be your light more. And so I want to encourage those who may find themselves in this place right now. I want to encourage those who have fought the negative side their whole lives and not allowed themselves to feel negative emotions or deeply feel what they feel. And also the people who have kicked out or made not okay the parts of themselves that they don't like. I would encourage you to think about this and to change your perspective, or to be open to a new perspective, that these parts of you, these negative down times, are so needed, and they serve a purpose, and they allow you to go and jump higher than you ever thought you could, when you allow them to exist. And the scary part, or the hard part about this, is that when you're in these modes, when you're in these dark parts, a lot of times you don't know when they're going to end. And I know for sure I felt that way, that I was like, when is this light going to be? When am I going to see the light at the end of this tunnel? And it felt like months and months for me. But in reality, this last time, it was so short. You can hear it. You can hear my transformation from day one of this podcast to now. I mean, I know my voice probably sounds different. I haven't gone back to listen to it, but I can tell you for sure that my life is on a different trajectory, and it wouldn't have been otherwise if I had pushed away or tried to run away or not feel this darkness. And so if you're, like I said, if you're in this place, I feel for you. My heart feels for you. I understand what that feels like. You are definitely not alone. You're definitely not wrong. There's nothing wrong with you. You're not broken. And you're human. And this is just part of the contrast of life. And I'm not saying you're going to be happy about it or enjoy it, but I'm saying that there's deep purpose and meaning in the feelings that you feel, and allow yourself to feel them and go through them. Don't make any of it not okay. And you will see that on the other side of this is something that will be so much more beautiful and so much better for you when you allow it, versus I feel like when you disallow it, you prolong this wound, you prolong these things from growing in your life. You stay stagnant, you stay at a certain level, you cap where you can go. And so if you want to break through to a new level, I would recommend, nudge you to explore the parts of you that you don't like, make them okay, and allow yourself to feel into what you feel, and don't make them wrong. And with that, I'll let everyone go. I hope today is a beautiful day for you. Many blessings.